Welcome to Open Heaven Divine Ministry, transforming lives through the Word of God. And I'm your host, Minister Clyde Collier. And today, I want you to journey with me in the book of Genesis chapter 4. That's Genesis chapter 4. I'll be reading from verse 3 to verse 7. And it says, "And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstling of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him." Here's a portion of God's holy word. We honor it by saying, Thanks be to God. And your rhema for today is realigning yourself to God's will. Realigning yourself to God's will. Now, we're very familiar with this account with Cain and Abel. It's the first physical murder which happens in the Bible between two brothers, and we're well aware of it. But it posed a lot of questions. And one of the main questions which we're going to view today is the question of why did God accepted Abel's offering and did not accept Cain's offering? And when we look in the scripture in this passage, it doesn't elaborate much on it, but we can see, and the reason is right there, and that's what we're going to explore today. Now it tells us that both brothers brought an offering unto the Lord, and one was accepted and one was denied. And so, why was Cain's offering denied? In the Bible, you have a lot of different offerings which are presented to God. You have like the peace offering, the thanksgiving offering, you have wave offering, you have the heifer offering, you have sin offering, and there are many such like offerings which is presented. They are presented to God. But the offering here which Cain and Abel brought to God, it's called the Mincha offering. And this offering is supposed to be an acknowledgement on the part of man that everything belongs and comes from God. And with that, when they're presenting their gifts unto God, it is supposed to be presented out of love, gratitude, and thanksgiving. That's the requirement for presenting this offering, whether it is a grain offering or it's a animal offering, which you can see that Abel was brought an animal and Cain brought the things out of his field. He was a farmer. And so both of them presented it to God, and God did not accept Cain's gift. So right there and then, we can come to the realization that Cain did not give his offering, whether maybe it wasn't out of love. Maybe it wasn't out of gratitude. Maybe it was not out of thanksgiving. We don't know the cause, but all we know is that he did not presented it the way it was supposed to be presented. And we can see that both of them would know the requirements of how they're supposed to present their gift. Otherwise, Abel's gift wouldn't be accepted as well. The fact that Abel presented his gift unto God means that he knows the requirements. And God said unto Cain, Why are you angry? And why is your countenance fallen? If you did well, your gift would be accepted. And so the word well there, the word yatab, well, it doesn't mean that he needed to improve on his gift. It doesn't mean that he needs to amend his gift. What the word actually means is that you were to be in line. So God said unto Cain, if you were in line with the requirements, if you were in line with my ways, with the instruction which was given, your gift would be accepted. And then that calls upon us to do a re-evaluation of ourselves, of how is it that we are presenting it, our gift unto God, our sacrifice, our offerings. What's the foundation of it? Cain was out of line. And when we read throughout the Bible, we can see where persons were out of line. For example, if you look in the book of Amos chapter 5, and God said unto them, He said, I will not accept your burnt offering. I will not accept your peace offering. I will not accept anything from you. He said, where are you going with those singings? I don't want to hear it. It's like noise into my ears. In the book of Isaiah chapter 58, he says that these people come to me as if they enjoy knowing my ways and they want to know my decrees and my justice and my laws. But he said, they're fasting. And their fasting is not unto me. It is unto themselves. They're fasting for themselves. Because the requirements that I give for fasting, none of them are following it. At the end of the fasting, they continue to strive with each other. They continue to war with each other. They continue to keep each other in bondage. They continue to pass those who are in need on the street. He said, isn't this why I create the fast, for you to loose those who are in bondage and to feed those who are in need? They weren't doing that. They certainly wasn't doing that. In the book of Hosea, when they were there offering sacrifice, God said, I desire mercy. That's my requirement, not sacrifice. That's not what I need from you. I desire mercy from you. How does it look in the New Testament? The New Testament, Jesus said on the last day, many will come and say, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons in your name, and didn't we prophesy, and didn't we do all of these things? And he said he's going to say, depart from me. I don't know you. I don't know you. Why? They were out of line. They were doing things the way they feel like doing it. They were doing things the way which satisfy them. It has nothing to do with God. They were doing things for their own glory. In the book of James, James said, you pray and you do not have. Why don't you have it? He said, the reason why you do not have it is because you're asking amiss. You're praying, but your prayer is directed to yourself, where the things which you need from God, they are supposed to let you be boastful and allow you to boast and brag. It is to satisfy your flesh, and that is why you're not getting what you need from God. That's what he said. We also have a lot of rocking chair Christians, because they're so busy doing everything, and they're doing this and they're doing that. They believe that that is acceptable unto God. Doing a lot of things for God doesn't result in your works being accepted as well. Revelation chapter 2, the church in Thyatira. Jesus said, I know your works, and I know your love, I know your charity, and I know your service, and your faith, and your patience. And he said, and you have been improving in all of these areas. But nevertheless, I have something against you. Jesus was saying that even though you're doing all of these things, for me to fully accept what you're doing, you have to get rid of the things which are a hindrance. People of God, the word well in Genesis chapter 4 doesn't mean that you're supposed to improve. It doesn't mean that you're supposed to do more. It simply means that you're supposed to be in line with God. That's what it means. In the New Testament, Jesus tells us to seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and God's righteousness. And he said everything else will fall in place because you're in line. So everything else will fall in place. In Deuteronomy 28, he tells us, he said, do not turn to the left or to the right to follow after other gods. Don't allow your lust and your need for pleasure and attention and all of those things throws you off track. Stay in line. Stay on the narrow path. Jesus tells us in the New Testament, stay on the narrow path. Don't go on the broad road. Stay on this narrow path. In the Old Testament, that's the same thing God said. Walk in line. Walk on this straight line. Walk in my path. Walk in my ways. And he said, when you do this, you shall be blessed. You shall be blessed in the city and in the field, and the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and everything that you touch your hands. He said, I'm going to bless it. The fruit of your womb, and your cattle, your livestock. He said, I shall give the rain, give your land rain in season when it is needed. And he described all of the different blessing which you will receive when you're in line with him. A very good example of being in line with God is Genesis chapter 5, where it talks about Enoch, where it said that, and Enoch was not, because God had took him. And in the book of Hebrew chapter 11, it didn't even say that Enoch was pleasing to God. It said that Enoch was well pleasing to him. And this was the testimony Enoch had before he was transliterated, before he was taken out of the earth without seeing that. The Bible said that he pleased God. He was well pleasing to God. And that's how God sees you when you're walking according to his statute and his commands and his words. He sees you as well pleasing. When you offer up your praise of thanksgiving and your arms that you're supposed to be doing, when you do that in him, not like the Pharisees, he sees your gift as well accepted. Jesus talked about the widow who had her one mite, who put it in the treasury, and those who had abundance. And Jesus looked at the widow and said to his disciples, she gave all that she had. She was much more pleasing to God than the rich who gave it out of what they have. Let us today realign ourselves with the will of God. Only then will we be accepted. And I know that at the end of the day, no one loves to get a bad report. And at the end of the day, when God is finished, we want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. That is what we want to hear. But for us to hear that, let us realign ourselves with the will of God. Let us know what God requires of us. Let us know what he says that we're supposed to do, and let us do it. Let us do it. Don't stand before God today just to hear, I am not accepting your praise. I'm not accepting your singing. I'm not accepting your reading. I'm not accepting your preaching. I'm not accepting your praise and worship or your exhortation. I'm not accepting anything from you, because we were doing it to please ourselves, just like Cain. Let us be on the side of Abel, where the book of Hebrew chapter 11 tells us that by faith he gave a more excellent sacrifice. Let our sacrifice unto him be more excellent than. Let us keep in line. Let us walk in step of the Spirit. And let us do what it is that God is expecting us to do, so that at the end of the day, we can get a good report. Let us realign ourselves according to God's will.